According to a study published by the global think tank Coqual, Black Americans make up 10% of college graduates, yet represent less than 1% of Fortune 500 CEOs and only 3.2% of executives and senior level managers. And on average, 58% of Black people indicated they perceive racism on the job. The nonprofit MLT is working to change that by building ladders of opportunity to help people of color gain equal access to white-collar jobs.
I categorically would not be here where I am today without MLT.
To hear Justin Dean tell it
really changed my trajectory.
MLT, or Management Leadership for Tomorrow, secured a success in corporate America he couldn't have achieved on his own.
I was 24. I didn't know which way was up. So I had just finished engineering school a few years ago. I knew I wanted to shift careers. I didn't understand what it took to get those jobs. I didn't understand what it would take to be successful at those jobs. I didn't even know what it took to get into business schools.
But with that help, he figured it out, earned an MBA, and is now partner and managing director at Boston Consulting Group.
I mean, it sounds like a path that I'd like to ultimately land on.
MLT recruit Ajara Jones will be Dean's intern this summer, a first-generation college student at North Carolina A&T. She's following the path he blazed some 12 years ago.
It's more than just kind of, oh, you know, like I have this GPA or I can speak well or present myself well. It's about knowing that I deserve to be in the same room. I can perform just as well as anyone else because I've had practice doing it.
So it's confidence training.
That's a part of it, I'd say. A lot of clarity and a lot of just also networking.
My likelihood of kind of making it to partner is going to be so much higher than if I had 20% of my mind is focused on, you know, am I fitting in? You know, I'm the only person of color kind of in this room. You know, am I speaking right? Am I talking about the right things?
Is that really a factor?
It absolutely is.
Graduates say MLT provides the playbook for minority talent to ascend from college through grad school to the C-suite.
It's actually a theory of change for people of color in America.
It's the brainchild of founder John Rice.
We've taken a page out of the world of sports. We give people at every stage the high accountability coaching, okay, the playbook to hit the bar for high performance, to get into an organization, to move up, and then we surround folks with a supportive network of peers and mentors that actually gives them those connections that are critical, the social capital that we all know is so important. And guess what? It works.
Last June, as the nation called for a racial reckoning over policing, Rice penned an article in The Atlantic calling for an awakening in corporate America.
When the conversation in this country changed, after the deaths of George Floyd and a number of others, white leadership, most of them put out statements about how much they stand against racism in all forms, which I thought was, you know, very powerful. They were shocked and surprised, people of color within their institutions, who told them that the lived experience for people of color was completely inconsistent with the strong statements that organizations have made. White leaders in particular realized that they were part of the problem.
The article was inspired by his father, Emmett J. Rice, a PhD economist and Federal Reserve Board member who encouraged both his children to equalize the system. John's sister is former UN Ambassador Susan Rice, now tapped to be President-elect Biden's domestic policy advisor.
My father, you know, who grew up in the 20s and 30s in the Jim Crow South, he told me, you know, that the only way we're going to change and really make progress on meaningful breakthroughs on race is if we elevate the cost of racist behavior.
That ignited a 20-year mission that started when Rice left Harvard Business School, gave up his lucrative six-figure salary with the MBA, and launched MLT. Now with 120 corporate partners, MLT has helped advance the careers of nearly 10,000 students and professionals of color, placing 98% of its graduates in jobs with average salaries above $70,000. And 75% of their mid-career graduates are promoted within a year. MLT also launched the career of a future legend, one of the organization's first hires, a University of Pennsylvania graduate named John Stevens. He was looking to transition out of corporate life.
I have to give back. It's just a requirement to me.
He walked up to me and said, hey, Johnny, he said, I'm trying to pursue a music career, and I'd like to get more flexibility in my schedule. So I hired him on the spot.
That analyst became John Legend.
It's my favorite love song.
Would you say that MLT helped him launch his career?
Yeah, and he will say that too.
For those still working on it, and how do you hope to change the world?
How do I hope to change the world?
Yes.
Big question.
That's a very big question. Well, I think that first I hope to change the world by adding to a company that clearly cares about the impact that it's making.
Ashara, that was a pretty darn good answer. Is that some MLT training we just saw there?
I think there's definitely a little bit of the MLT special sauce in there. But it's true. It's true.
She learns fast, doesn't she? I tell you, John Rice, this notion of passing it forward or paying it forward really came from that dad of his who knew some of the secrets to success. And he wanted to make sure that he could offer it to other people because he needed it to happen exponentially.
Changes the world one person at a time. Each person has the impact and passes.
Numbers are pretty impressive. 10,000 students, 98% of them making more than $70K in those jobs. All right.
John Legend didn't know.
And John Legend.